This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Hey, good morning with Chois Woodman, who's in for Jamie this morning, and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Thank you for being with us today. Yates Flooring Center chat line is open. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app. Choice, you'll be on the air 12 hours from now, as you'll be in Abilene.
That is correct.
Abilene, as the Friendship Girls take on Mansfield Legacy. We'll have the game for you on Double T 97.3 at 6:30. This is round 2.
You made my day feel a lot longer by saying it that way.
Well,
to be on the air 12 hours from now.
No, I'm sorry. I mean,
no, that's okay.
Just the way it is.
I didn't think of it that way, but I will. Yeah, this will be doing a little friendship basketball tonight. So hopefully the girls can advance on to the third round of the playoffs. It's so different, playoffs in general, this year because they have split off big school, small school in basketball for the first time.
Do you like that?
I think there's good and there's bad that comes with it. I think the assumption, the hope is that, you don't face all the best, like a smaller 6A school doesn't have to face a bigger 6A school that's just dominant and has 2,000 or 3,000 more students than they do. I think that's
which has been common for Friendship.
It does happen
over the years.
I think that's the idea, but it doesn't always work out that way because some of these districts have enormous schools, so the small school can still be 2,000 or 3,000 more than a school like Friendship. So it can work. The weird part about it is there's no regional tournament. So you're so used to a regional tournament being at LCU here for 4A,
right? Or
I think there's been one in Abilene.
So how do you get to state then?
You still play through the state playoffs. You just don't have
that four-team
regional tournament.
That's too bad. I kind of like that.
I did too. So I think that's a casualty of it. That goes away. There's also no state semifinals in San Antonio. So they play the state championship in San Antonio, which kind of a 4-team state tournament in each division. That goes away because they're adding 6 more championships down there.
So you just play championship games?
So all just championship games. A state semifinal game this year, if you get that far, will be a neutral site game.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. I think it takes a little bit away from it, and I don't know if they'll try to change that in the future. But
and maybe it'd be hard. Like the first round, I think the team that has the better record or the higher seed should get to play at home.
I'm not opposed to that, except for I think there's only one thing stopping it, and it's West Texas and far West Texas.
Sure.
El Paso and us up here, because 6 hours for a road trip there'd
be a lot of squawking. Yeah,
is a long time.
All right, so Friendship and Legacy tonight at 6:30. This comes to us from Abilene High School. And Choice will have the game tonight. Is Brennan with you tonight, Brennan Recker?
I actually haven't found out yet.
Okay. All right. So
there's a possibility.
Somebody will be with Choice. If not, he'll
just be solo.
Could be just him. Also, tomorrow night, Monterey takes on El Paso Burgess. That'll be at 6 o'clock. That'll be in Fort Stockton. You're home away from home. You'll see your second family next week with the Friendship boys. Let me ask you this. Which of all the schools in the area, I mean, Friendship and Monterey have the chance to go the deepest?
Girls basketball? Yeah, this year, I mean, if we're going bigger schools, I don't know all the weeds of the
shallow waters and the Idalus and
the new homes and all that, how they are this year.
I ran into a couple of new home guys last night at the traffic light. Yeah.
Did they?
Well, they always try to give me a hard time, but they know the reality. Okay, they know the reality
that you actually love and embrace new home.
I embrace new home. Yes.
I'd say of the bigger schools, Friendship and Monterey. I think there's some other ones up north that have a chance, but of our area, definitely of our high school fan zone teams, Monterey should have a shot to go really deep. Friendship girls have, and this is the rough part of it, they have 3 top 5 teams in their region, so you've got to get through some really stout
Maybe they'll play more relaxed tonight without Coach Lent, in the stands diagramming plays and charting shots.
Oh man, wouldn't it be funny if they play well and if his daughter goes off or something, he can't go again the rest of the playoffs.
He's done.
Right?
He's done.
I think he's superstitious enough that he might actually adhere to that.
Buy into that. So tomorrow also, you'll have, in terms of games today, Seminole meets San Elzaro in Fort Stockton. Levelland plays Decatur at Stanford tonight. And then Estacado's in action against Burke Burnett. They'll play that game at 8 o'clock tonight in Childress. Okay, so that's among the games. Let's see. Shallow Water meets Brownfield tonight at South Plains College. So that'll be a big game. A lot of folks. Slayton and Coahoma will play tomorrow in Lamesa. Slayton with that baseline three that just kind of bounced around like a carnival game and went through the net. That'll be a 6:30 game tomorrow. Idalou meets Stanton today in Tahoka, and that's a 6 o'clock game tonight. So New Deal and Wellington will play tonight at Caprock in Amarillo, and that's pretty much it. Oh, Abernathy meets Panhandle tonight in Dimmitt. Okay, in Dimmitt. 6 o'clock will be the time for that. Oh, and New Home, can't forget them.
Don't forget New Home.
They play Clarendon tonight at Wayland Baptist University. Okay. So that kind of gets you up to speed there. All right, some things from last night's game. I thought it was ironic that we win due to a 3 to 4 defensive stops to close out the second overtime. We didn't play defense until then. You played some defense, but you stiffened up. I mean, Kerwin Walton was huge, and Coach Grant McCaslin was extremely complimentary of his defense there in the overtimes. And he had a stretch there in the start of the second half where he scores like 13 points in 12 minutes. And then they took him out. It's like, what the hell?
I know. It's always, it's always
take out the guy with the hot hand.
Difficult to do that, but 13 points. I mean,
he just went boom, boom.
It's pretty
boom.
obvious you don't win without that
Sure.
stretch from Kerwin. As he kept you right there with them while they were hitting everything as well.
No doubt.
That was fun to watch. I'm a huge Kerwin Walton fan, and
he started and struggled. And
anytime he has a stretch like that, or it was the end of the first overtime that he's getting the deflection to keep them from getting a final shot up. So. Man, I love it when he has success.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
This day in sports history. Today is the 13th day of February, 2025. Time for this day in sports history. Here is Jeff McGuire.
Starting in 1937, Boston Redskins receive approval from the NFL to move to Washington, D.C. To share the baseball Griffin Stadium with the first Washington Senators of the American League. Remember, there were a couple of those.
Sure, yeah. I wish they still were the Senators.
Yeah, I wish that when they brought another team back.
Yeah.
It's not too late, right?
It's like I still wish the Washington Bullets were the Washington Bullets.
I absolutely agree with that.
Maybe
they just decided,
the Redskins and the Indians.
Maybe they just decided every time the Senators are there, they end up leaving somewhere else. So let's not make them the Senators anymore.
You got 6 years, I would love to be a senator.
Of course you would.
I think that would be a great House of Representative. You have to keep running for election all the time.
You and Tommy Tuberville can hang out together.
Unless you got really, really popular. No, I don't think so.
Oh, I bet all the money in my wallet that you would be hanging out with Tuberville.
Both of y'all would. Yep.
1971, U.S. Vice President Spiro Agnew.
Spiro Agnew, yes.
Hits 2 tee shots into the crowd while golfing, injuring 2.
He was a crook as well. He had to resign the vice presidency, which gets lost in the Nixon vice presidency. But Spiro Agnew, he looked like a politician. He had slicked back gray hair. He had a sharp look to him. He always had a crisp suit on. But he looked like a politician.
We just had
more so than Richard Nixon.
I was about to say we just had a Nixon reference without the voice.
People have got to know if their president's a crook. I'm not a crook.
The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
He was a crook.
1976, Dorothy Hamill, at 19, wins the free skate to clinch the women's figure skating gold medal in the Winter Olympics.
And then there was the Dorothy Hamill haircut that took place there in the 70s, mid-70s, from this day forward for a few years. Till Farrah Fawcett came on, and then she just became that became the look. If you could wear the Farrah Fawcett look, then you were something. A lot of people could wear the Dorothy Hamill look, but not every girl could wear the Farrah Fawcett look.
Yeah.
And them that could. And them that knew that they couldn't, didn't. Yeah, I'm done.
I'm just checking. I'm waiting.
Okay.
You keep pontificating, and I'm like, okay, you're going. Don't get me wrong. Farrah Fawcett, not a bad thing to look at. However, 1992, we all remember Tiger Woods and his car accident.
Right.
And his Thanksgiving accident.
Sure, that was the same weekend.
Yeah, no.
Oh, the car accident.
There was the car accident.
Well, there was a car. Well, he wrecked his car that night.
And then there was another car accident.
Yeah, right.
Well, he was just following in the steps of Jose Canseco.
Oh?
Because he repeatedly rams his Porsche into his wife's BMW on this day in 1992.
Roid rage.
1999, Rayford Young scores 41 with 12 successful free throws in the final 1 minute and 46 seconds, and Texas Tech upsets number 24 Kansas 90-84.
That was at the Coliseum.
Mm-hmm. Rayford Young, the original Kansas killer.
You know, he was. That was. A buddy of mine was doing that game on TV, and he said before the game he walks in, he goes, "Hey, do you think you guys can give us a game?" I said, "Yeah, we'll see." And then afterwards, I said, "What'd you think about that? Can we give you a game?"
And in 2022, Super Bowl halftime show features hip-hop legends Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige, Eminem, and 50 Cent.
50 Cent.
Kendrick was in that one?
Kendrick was in that for a little bit. He was, I don't want to say a side player, but he was not like focused on as much as the others were. It was all of Dre's guys and girls.
How would it go at your house if your wife, even if it was just in jest, did some crip walking over an ex, and then says that was the best 10 seconds of my life?
I would be like, man, I did not know you had those dance moves first. Okay. And
yeah.
There's some serious footwork that goes with the crip walk.
How bizarre is that?
I would not think it was great if she was spending that much time thinking about
somebody else,
an ex. It
right.
would probably bother me a little bit.
Yeah, a little. You think? Would that be an ender for you?
No, it's not going to be an ender.
Okay, I didn't know. I'm just
and the wife, we're pretty tight. We're pretty tight.
Happy National Tortellini Day.
I'm completely out.
Chuck is against anything that's not a spaghetti noodle.
Is that accurate?
That's pretty accurate. I mean, I'm not a
no fettuccine.
I'm not fettuccine. I'm not green chili chicken linguine. I'm not.
Yeah, they're all pasta.
I'm not the. What's the real popular one with the white sauce?
Alfredo.
Chicken Alfredo. I'm out on that.
Oh my gosh!
You know, the sauce doesn't have to be associated with a noodle.
Right.
You can have a different sauce with different noodles.
Different noodles. You can have spaghetti sauce on top of fettuccine.
Just give me spaghetti noodles and sausage over it with the red sauce, and I'm good.
Happy birthday to Randy Moss, who's 48, Drew Henson, 45, Coach K, 78, Gary Patterson, 65, and Nathan Evaldi is 35 today.
Okay.
And on this day, 1965, President Lyndon Baines Johnson decides to undertake the sustained bombing of North Vietnam that he and his advisors had been contemplating for a year. We know it better as Operation Rolling Thunder. Bombing campaign was designed to interdict the North Vietnamese transportation routes and the southern part of North Vietnam, and the slow infiltration of personnel and supplies into South Vietnam.
We actually tried to win there for a little while.
Yeah, there were a lot of times that we really, really tried, and we really, really did some good things there, and then we stopped trying, and then we didn't.
Right.
That's kind of how that went.
Well, that was part of the deal that Johnson made with with General Motors and other people so that he could get to be president. Hey, I'll keep the war going. You just got to get me in there. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Because John Kennedy didn't want to play anymore.
This day in sports history.
So Kennedy was going to get us out of Vietnam. And they said, yeah, wait, it's good for business. War is good for business. So we're going to keep going here.
Yeah.
Lyndon wants to keep fighting, but I want to get out of there.
You excited about all the new revelations for the Kennedy assassination?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'm all in on. I think Lyndon was involved. I think I think there was a lot of people involved.
There's talk of 3 shooters now, not just 2.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can find all sorts of stuff.
There's all kinds of stuff.
I'm gonna go get you boys that tinfoil hat that's in there.
I'm really close to telling you a comment that I made the other day in Fort Worth. And
well, don't stop then. You're close. Let's go for it.
We stayed at the hotel where Kennedy spent his last night alive in Fort Worth.
Yeah. What was it called?
I can't remember. I can't remember the name of it. All I know is I said outside, I go, hey, do you think Kennedy spent the night with his wife, his last night, or did he spend it with somebody else's wife?
Okay, then.
They were kind of on the outs at that point because she was getting all of the praise at the dinners and everything else, and he was not quite happy about that.
Not quite happy about that. At any rate, that's hour 1 of this freewheeling ride that takes place every day from 6 to 9.
Well, we about covered it all. Do we even need to do a couple more?
Step and repeat, right?
Okay.
You can step and repeat.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Chois Woodman and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Thank you for being with us today. We had a communique from Gordo. I really like these. He's kind of like
when he says it.
He's kind of our postal pest. If you remember back in the day, you're probably too young to remember Blackie Sherrod from the Dallas Morning News.
Yeah.
He had Sydney, his postal pest. Okay.
Little before my time.
They never met, by the way. Then he did write into Blackie Sherrod. I loved reading Blackie Sherrod on Sunday mornings. Dear Choice, how are you? I am fine. Why are there so many empty seats at basketball games? Question mark. Last night the townies didn't show, but the students did. It was still loud, but it was clear that the townies were not there. I know one Chuck Heinz is a big promoter of what else is there to do in Lubbock. Fans in cold weather cities have to park and walk to a game just like we do. Or are West Texans that soft that they can't handle the cold? It was 21 degrees last night. How do we get fans to support a top team in the Big 12? It's really sad we can't give Grant more butts and seats. Thank you for the sports that you give us, Gordo.
Gordo, thank you for writing in.
He's not wrong.
Can I answer the question?
Sure.
Well, stop having 8 o'clock tip-offs on a weekday.
What time would you like it?
I would love it at 7.
6:30.
I do think
7 works better than 6.
I do think 7 makes a difference. I do.
That 1 hour I knew I was not watching the end of the game at tip-off.
Look, I think the 7 o'clock window is fine and dandy if you have an ESPN Plus game. But we know that 6 and 8 are your time slots, and last night was not an ESPN Plus game. It was an actual ESPN 2, I believe, game. Either way, the question of what else is there to do in Lubbock, I understand the basis of it, but I know why I didn't go to the game last night.
Why?
Because my daughter had a basketball game.
Okay, well, that's a good excuse.
And there's a whole lot of people that have something going on. Yeah. There's church on Wednesday night that a whole lot of people go to.
See, I think that's a cop-out.
Because it's Jesus or what?
I just don't think that many. I just don't think that many people are going to church on Wednesday night.
I think you'd be surprised.
I think if I drove around, there's a lot of empty parking lots.
It's not everybody, but a whole lot of kids go to church on Wednesday night.
Maybe so, but
people have to pick up their kids.
No, I get all that. I get the kid, but like for people that are
a little much of you to say it's a cop out for people going to church. Chuck.
Because I think it's a cop out excuse that people try to say.
So it's okay that I'm using the excuse for my kids' basketball game.
No,
but
I don't think it's
from the other three kids that are going to church.
No. I think there's a bunch of people that say that, but that's not reality.
I said my son had the basketball game. My daughter has one tonight.
I bet you there was more people at the basketball game last night than there were in the churches around town last night.
It's probably comparable.
Okay, so but I mean
10,000, sure.
They try to use that as an excuse, so that's why people aren't going. But it's the townies, it's the older townies like me that aren't going. It's the 55 plusers. The under
CBS 40, Sports, thank you.
Under 45 crowd, that's got kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. And even if you have kids that your grandkids are playing, but still, there were a ton of empty seats last night. But the arena was, the joint was jumping. For the folks that were there last night, the joint was really jumping. And the students did a great job coming out.
Let me finish on it. I do think there are solid excuses to miss games, whether it be church for you or your kids, whether it be events you have going on, but you should be able to, as I'm trying to finish, you should be able to fill a 15,000-seat arena on a Wednesday night with whomever. And I'll tell you, ticket prices are steep. I think it is expensive to get into a basketball game if you don't have season tickets. And maybe that's what the deal is. I also think that as much as people did not like the guy, Chris Beard was a master promoter. He was. I think there are other ways to get people's butts in seats, and I think Tech will learn to figure that out over the next few years.
I don't know,
man. Grant McCasland does deserve. Grant McCasland and this team deserves to have a full arena. But whether it's weather, late night tip, kids, I think it's a combination of everything we've mentioned. Kids' activities. Whatever it is, it has about 10 to 12,000 in there instead of 15,000. It's still a very good crowd. It's just not completely full.
Man, but the upper decks on both ends were pretty empty last night. I was disappointed. And my row on the other side of us was empty. But like I said, the environment was awesome. Okay, it was an awesome environment. It was loud last night, but it can be louder. But the students were awesome last night, and the people that were there were awesome last night. And the halftime, they had the jump ropers. Usually not a big fan of that, but man, those kids were awesome.
Yeah, I think
they were awesome.
I think there are good excuses to miss basketball games.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with people missing.
But man, when it's Big 12 and you're 12th in the country, and
I think opponent played into it. Last night you're a 16-point favorite, and there's a whole lot of people that have the mindset. And this is where you've got to get out of this mindset.
Because it's a rock fight on any given night in the Big 12.
I think you've got to get out of the mind. The fans have got to get out of the mindset where of hey, well, I've got this game coming up, so 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. Somehow you've got to get this back to what it was a few years ago, where it doesn't matter who you're playing on any given Big 12 night.
Have we become a little spoiled?
You need to be at the arena. Yeah, I think they're spoiled too.
Yeah, we've become a little spoiled. I think it was the opponent last night for the reason it wasn't full. If it was Arizona or Houston, it would be different. Well, Houston will be an 8 o'clock game on a big Monday, and guess who's coming to town? Guess who's coming to town? Guess who's coming to town? Houston and
Kelvin Sampson,
and they announced it last night, but I knew about it. I knew that it was going to happen, or at least I'd been told it was going to happen. I didn't know officially it was going to happen. So I don't mean to be the one. I hate it when people do this now. Hell, I'm doing it. So the Red Panda's coming to town.
Oh my gosh, I did not know what we were getting.
The Red Panda will be here for the game.
Of course,
on
Chuck,
the 24th.
So I'm sitting there thinking about things within the game, like who's coming to town. Do we have a famous Red Raider coming back?
The Red Panda will be here.
It's the Red Panda, of course. It's Chuck, so it's got to be out.
It's the Red Panda
outside the game itself. I like the Red Panda, but a list of reasons I want to go to a Tech basketball game. That one's probably not inside the top 10.
Let's see here. There's a number of people that have written in here since that. Let's see.
What have you?
Let's see. Agree with you on game times. Have a coworker that takes their 6-year-old. 8 o'clock is too late. The cost is the seats. There's a lot of people choosing to do something else. Your season ticket holders buy up seats and then advertise for $200 each. It's not all, but it's some. I've not seen that. Why is Chuck banging
Go on to StubHub right now and you'll find it.
Okay, I believe you. Why is Chuck banging on churchgoers now? I'm not. I'm just saying people use it as an excuse, but it's not reality. Tech greater than Jesus, Chuck? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I had 4 different basketball season ticket holders call me to offer their tickets because tip-off was 8:15. Look at game attendance at games that start at 6 or 7. No comparison. 6 is too early. I agree. 7 would be great. Let's see.
I think 6, you get better crowds. They're just late arriving.
Chuck, you wouldn't know who was in church. You're not a regular. You're right. On Wednesday, I don't go. We don't have it. Okay? It's all we can do to get people to go on Sunday at my place. The crowd looked and sounded incredible on TV, yeah. Tickets are too expensive. Okay.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3, presented today by someone not named Jamie, is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, Chuck.
I was hoping you had the question.
Was it?
I was hoping.
Because we didn't talk about it before?
Right. I was hoping you had it. Figured you did.
Yeah, I'm...
You're a professional.
Mine's not too out there or anything.
Elaborate or anything like
no.
that? Okay. Multi-part or anything?
And it's probably, Jamie's done this one in some version several times. But after last night, you can see the Red Raiders beat the Arizona State Sun Devils. I'm going to take a look at Texas Tech's schedule remaining and see if last night changes anything for you. But you have 7 games left on the schedule.
Okay.
Tell me how many wins you have remaining and what NCAA tournament seed Texas Tech ends up with.
Oh, man.
This is kind of a weekly thing. I know Jamie's been doing this.
Yeah, we've been kind of tracking this.
But last night you win 111 to 106.
Right.
So 7 games remaining. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Sorry, my count.
You play at Oklahoma State on Saturday, and then next week you're at TCU. And they won last night over Oklahoma State.
They did. Shouldn't have, but they did.
And then you have a home game against West Virginia, a home game against Houston. You're at Kansas. You're home against Colorado, and then you finish up at Arizona State. So what are you? You're 10-3 right now.
Yes.
15-5. Man, we would have taken that at the beginning of the season.
Absolutely.
I think you're going to go 6-1. I think you're going to go 6-1. And I hate to tell you this. I think the game you're going to lose is Houston. But it's going to be a hell of an environment. That's going to be really, really challenging for Houston to come in here. Because it's going to be all us against none of them.
I think you get the same effort out of Houston that you did out of Arizona. Since I think Arizona played harder or just had more to play for because you had already beaten them once. I think Houston will have the same approach to that game. Yeah.
So I think, and then I think you're going to have a 3 seed in the tournament, and 3 seed in the tournament.
Okay.
Hi. Boring answer for the day. 6-1 and a 3 or a 4 seed. I'm on that bubble between a 3 and a 4, so somewhere between, in theory, being ranked 13th, and 16th by the time we get that way for the NCAA tournament.
I think
or
if you
12th and 16th.
I think if you go 6-1, you're in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you.
Just because, I mean, what will happen elsewhere? Most likely, other teams are not going to go 6-1. That's the rest of the way.
So Jeff, you're 6-1.
So you're 6-1, man.
Who's your loss against?
Houston. That doesn't mean you can't win. Like
Yeah.
I still think you got a puncher's chance in it. I don't know that I would take 6-1 right now. But if I had to predict, I would take 6-1.
All right, Choice, you're in for Jamie.
Man,
You're going to say 5-2, aren't you?
I think you go 5-2. I do. And I think the losses are back-to-back to Houston and that.
At Kansas?
Yeah, I mean, it's still at Kansas.
I know, it's hard to, I know, but they're not a good team.
They're a good team. They're not a great team. They're a good team. I mean, they're going to make the tournament.
They're okay.
Bad teams don't make the tournament.
Okay. Okay.
We're just used to Kansas being a great team.
Yeah.
They're a good team.
So you're going to be 15-5.
And I still think with 15-5, you're borderline 3 seed. So if you go 6-1, I feel very confident you're at least a 3 seed.
Mm-hmm.
15-5, so 5-2 down the stretch. I mean, you're not going to impress a whole lot of people with wins against Colorado, and now that at Arizona State game looks a little tougher than it
does
than it once did after you experienced it last night.
But the guys were also talking about after the game last night. It'll be interesting to see where they are.
Yeah.
As they're going down their stretch too, because now they're 3-10, and they're 12-12, so it becomes more and more difficult for them, I'm sure, to get up for things as well.
Now, unauthorized extension of the question of the day.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Oklahoma State and TCU are your next 2 games, both on the road. What's your confidence level that you are winning both of those games?
Oklahoma State and who?
TCU, both on the road. Because mine's not super high. I think the 5-2 I mentioned, I put Kansas there, but it wouldn't surprise me if you split with Kansas and Houston and then lost one of your next 2 in Stillwater or Fort Worth.
I don't know, man. This team just... Okay, this is going to sound so cliche. I think this team just kind of has it right now.
Oh, I think they do too.
They just have they've just figured out a way to win.
I'm not poo-pooing what Texas Tech is or has done, because I think this is an excellent team and a Final Four caliber team. But running through this league is still difficult. And I disagree with what Jamie said yesterday about this league not being as good as we've seen a lot of years.
I think he's right about that.
I think it's still a really good league, because I think if you slot a Oklahoma State or a TCU into other leagues, they're going to be doing a lot better than they are in this.
Yeah, but I mean, you had some schools that you expected to be a lot better than what they have been. Let me just. Oh, this is Arizona's. I was going to give you Arizona State's schedule down the stretch, just so you kind of had an idea of what they were going to be faced with.
Well, Jeff, what was your confidence level on the next 2?
On the next 2, I am square in like the 80% range.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. Oklahoma State on Saturday, and then
like you've seen some teams' best shots and taken them.
Definitely did last night.
You've seen some teams that you had no business being on the floor with regard to early game situation that changed how everything happened. And you went into their house and beat the pants off of them. So, yeah, I'm drinking some Kool-Aid right now.
Arizona State has TCU at home, Houston at home, at K-State, BYU at home, at Utah, at Arizona, and then Texas Tech at home to finish things up. I mean, they're the easy game for everybody left.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Les Mis? Okay, Les Mis.
So I have not actually seen the movie. Have you?
No.
Okay.
I know I know a grand total of nothing about this.
Do you know what Les Miserables means?
No. I mean, when I tell you I know a grand total of nothing, I guess I'm going to have to do some Wikipedia on this.
I don't know. Should you go in completely blind and then be pleasantly surprised?
You tell me.
I don't know. I know almost as little as you. I like musicals, but I have not seen this one.
Yeah, I know literally nothing. I feel like Sergeant Schultz. I know nothing. Do you know what that is?
Well, you sounded kind of like Grover, so I don't know if that's what you were growing.
No. This, Chuck, it will help if you study the characters.
Well, what was it? Like, you can't just say, do you know what that is?
Hogan's Heroes?
Oh, okay.
Sergeant Schultz, I know nothing.
You sound...
Nothing.
Okay, you sounded like you were...
Yeah, I had a little...
You were trying to do Rob Verby doing...
Oh, no.
Dikembe Mutombo that sounded like Grover. That's what you sounded.
No, I know of who, not of who you speak there.
None of those people?
I know who Dikembe Mutombo is.
You don't know Grover?
I know who Grover is, yeah. So I know two of the three. I know the other one, too.
What's up? Rob's just a guy that went into witness protection program and no one's seen him for
so he doesn't care, so I don't care. Okay.
He's disappeared.
Yeah, he doesn't care, so I don't care. There's no reason to bring him up. He doesn't care.
Oh, wow.
The soul-crushing TCU 3 was from an inbounds assist from the opposite end of the court, similar to our inbounds, though that Houston missed. Okay.
Yeah.
So the end of TCU OSU. TCU got the long pass from the baseline. It was deflected. The guy got off a no-way shot at the buzzer. Okay.
Yeah, it was
cool. Okay. I just hadn't had a chance to look at that. Let's see here. Going to Les Mis tonight, my favorite musical of all time. It's a great story with incredible songs. Yes, I'll turn in my man card on the way in. It really is incredible. I don't think there's any reason to...
Are you going solo or if you're going with a woman? Because you don't have to turn in your man card if it's a date.
Well, if he's going by himself, maybe he's
There's no
Maybe he's just going.
Men can be cultured. It's fine.
Let's see. Cameron says, "Haha, it was very good. Great casting." Okay. All right, that's good. LOL, cracks me up when people bury their heads in the sand and act like this is only at Tech. An 8 o'clock game on a Wednesday is going to see some missing. This is what happens when you have teams in the Big 12 that are 2 hours earlier than you. Okay.
I got one more submission on the personal line for who you sounded like.
Who's that?
The mean old man, or the mean man from Frosty the Snowman.
Oh, really?
The hat comes from.
Oh, wow. Who said that? Your wife?
Yeah, she did. I want to hear that one now.
Somebody said it's a double date. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, there you go. It's a double date. Okay, gotcha.
For Les Mis. Yeah. Les
Mis, right. I think
it's good.
Mine is just a date. It's just me and the missus.
Single date.
Me and the missus. By the way, as I was leaving the arena last night, and he texted in earlier, but it was good to see old Razzle Dazzle.
Old
Razzle Dazzle last night. He was kind of incognito. He had his running buddies with him, but that was good. I mean,
yeah,
it was good to see old Razzle Dazzle last night. Chuck, tip-off last night was not 8. Well, it was scheduled to be 8. It was like 8. 10 or so.
It was 8:10.
Okay, whatever.
They're never actually what they say they are.
Whatever. I mean, come on. Really? Been out of shape about 10 minutes. It was fun last night. It was a great atmosphere and great basketball game. I didn't realize that 111 was a Big 12 record for us. That's cool.
I don't know where I read that. I read it somewhere, so I assume it's true. 111, like it's. You think about it. I mean, you almost never cross the 100 mark, and especially in Big 12 play. When you've crossed the 100 mark, it's usually against bad teams,
right? And even this year, we didn't. We struggled. I think one time got above 100.
Even when you get to double overtime, you usually don't cross the 100 mark.
Mm-hmm.
It's not set up that way. It's just it was such a offensive game prior to overtime.
You beat Lamar 101-57 back on December the 21st.
Yeah, it's the only time that we've
been above. We beat Wyoming 96-49, beat Bethune-Cookman 94-61. So last night was the obviously the first time in Big 12 play this year. You're over 100, and the most points that you've scored this year, and also the most that you've given up this year.
As frustrating as the defense was last night, and
were you frustrated? Because
there was frustration on the defensive side.
Part of it, though, is they were just making shots too,
and that's what I'm getting at. As frustrating as the defense was, they did make a lot of shots and tough shots. I think your defense was poor in the first half. I think your defense was fine in the second half, but they were just making tough and contested shots, and shots that most coaches would say, oh, no, okay, it went in. Yeah, like those kind of shots. There was a lot of those for Arizona State. As frustrating as it was, I think this goes right back into the bag for the ability to win multiple ways. And Texas Tech has done that all season long. They have found a way to win in shootout games like this. Most wins have been knockdown, drag-out type, where like you go to Kansas State, which looks like a really good win right now.
Sure.
The way they're playing. And you win that one where both teams hardly score at all for 8 minutes down the stretch. And so I think that is a mark of a really good basketball team when you can find a way to win.
Absolutely.
However the game is going.
They were better shooting in the second half than the first half. Total from the field, they were 18 of 29. They were 6 of 11 from distance. So they were 12 of 18 from the field if you take out the threes. In the first half, they were 15 of 31 and 7 of 14. So they were 7 of 17 from the field. Take out the threes in the first half. But the Red Raiders, I mean, you look at what they did. I mean, for the ball game, Tech was 39 of 68. But 10 of 26 from the field, so they were 29 of 42. That's really good number, obviously, when you think about it. And then the second half, they were 10 of 17 from the field. Again, very good number.
Yeah, and again, it's a combination. I think Grant McCaslin would tell you the same thing. They've got good players on that team. But Texas Tech did not defend well, and especially early in the game. In the first half, you did not run them off the three-point line. And then you started to push them further and further back, and they kept hitting deep shots and contested shots. So you have to tip your cap somewhat. But it was not Tech's shiniest night on defense. It was a very shiny night on offense.
Yeah, it was a fun night to watch.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.